So when I have to write an equation with the information they give me, and then I'll graph it, well, let's actually just go back to the standard form of a circle, because that's what this was. That's what we were figuring out. So the standard form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and just piece this together. The center is at -2, -1. So this is h, -2. This is k, and the radius is 3. So given all of that, I can write the equation, and I have some room right here, so let's put it. I'm going to write x minus -2. Well, okay, let's go back to middle school for just a second. You learned that if I have x minus -2, I can make that plus a positive, so it's really just x plus 2, right? So we have opposite signs. It's going to be, what you write in the formula and what you have as a coordinate are going to be opposite signs. So x plus 2 squared, and then plus from the formula, y minus -1, so y plus 1 squared, equals 3 squared. Now, I'd love to go ahead and put 3 squared, but I know what 3 squared is. It's 9. Now, if you're looking back at your notes later and you're like, where did that 9 come from? I'll go ahead and write it up here. It's 3 squared. I just didn't want to take a whole step and do that. Okay, I also want to graph it, and this is going to be the easy part. So I'm going to look at my coordinate plane, and I'm going to find the center. So I'm going to plot the point -2, -1. So let's come over here. We'll do it in red. -2, -1, so there's the center. And I say this is the easy part. If you can't draw circles very neatly, then it's difficult, and you might get picked on for your circles, like I often do. So don't beat me up here. But the radius is 3, which means from the center, I'm going to move out 3 in every direction. So I'm going to go out 3 to the right. I'm going to go 3 down. I'm going to go 3 to the left. I'm going to go 3 up. Technically, I'm going to go 3 this way and this way and this way. Well, I think we've drawn enough to really get a pretty good circle. This is going to be a good circle, by the way. I'm feeling it. This is not going to be an ugly circle. I'm drawing a lot of ugly ones. Okay, it wasn't perfect, but it's better than a lot of the ones I've done in the past. So there we go. We've done it. We've written the equation. We've drawn the graph. Let's keep moving. The center is at 4, 2, and the radius is that. Okay, well, that is difficult to deal with. 2 times the square root of 3. We'll deal with it in a second, though. But let's just go ahead and call it what it is. That's R. This is H. That's obviously K. So X minus 4. So it's going to be, what I have here is going to be the opposite of what I have here. So this is truly X minus 4, and that is positive 4, and that works. And then Y minus 2 equals, and I ran out of room on my paper, so I'm going to put the next part here, but I need to square this. So here we go. Let's start tinkering a little bit here. I need to square 2 times the square root of 3. Now, if you want to, just to gain a little perspective of what 2 times the square root of 3 is, it's really 3.46, about 3.5, okay? That's not what I want. And now if you square it here, you'll get the right answer, but you won't gain any mathematical understanding, so I'm not going to press enter. Dang it, I accidentally did. I meant to press clear. Now you know it's 12, and you're going to zone out for the next 4 seconds. No, we're going to take 2 square root of 3, and we're going to square it, but let's just be careful the way we write it. When we do that, we're going to square the 2, which gives us a 4. And when we square the square root, well, they are opposites. So we have 4 times 3, so it's 12. And that's why the answer is 12, which means I do have room to write it. It's a tiny little thing over here. So let's write, well, now that we've written it, let's draw the graph based on what we have. So the center is at 4, 2. And the radius is 2 times the square root of 3. So when we square it, we get a 12. It's easy to look at this and say, oh, 12, I got to count 12 and 12. No, you count the square root of 12, which could be this, or we could write it like this. Nevertheless, I'm going to go about 3.5 in every direction. So 1, 2, 3 and a half-ish, and 1, 2, 3 and a half-ish. 1, 2, 3, and about a half. 1, 2, 3, and about a half. And then we draw a beautiful circle that missed a point there. Got that one, and there we go. Okay, we have one more here on the front. This one's different because they gave us a different set of information. So we might want to start by drawing it. So if you don't know what you need, then start with what you can find. That was poorly worded, but I think you'll figure it out. The diameter. Okay, let's just talk about the diameter. If I have a circle, this would be the radius. And you know this. This would be the radius. The whole thing would be the diameter. It looks like a Pokemon ball. So what we're going to do is plot that point and plot that point, and then we'll figure out what it looks like. So here goes. -3, 2. And 5, 2. That's the diameter. Meaning if I drew this all the way across, and I'm going to, then that would cut my circle in half. So my circle, and I'm going to grab a pencil for this one. My circle looks something like this, only it's supposed to be a little more round and not look flattened, but you understand the idea. So here's the problem. I don't have my center and I don't have my radius. So let's find them, and it's going to be pretty easy. And there's some strategies we're going to use on the back side of these notes that'll be a little bit different, but this is going to be pretty straightforward. So here goes. Let's find the center. In other words, what's in between this point and this point? Like, what's exactly halfway? When I get to halfway, you say, whoa. I didn't hear you, because it's a video. Anyway, when I get to halfway, I'll say, whoa. There it is. I didn't catch your whoa. Anyway, so there's a center right there. Well, let's find it. That center is at 1, 2, so it might be helpful to write it down. So the center, they didn't tell us, but we found it. The center is at 1, 2. Well, how long is the radius? Now, let's not count up or down because I probably drew it crooked, clearly. But we can count this way because that's a pretty straight line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the radius is 4. And so now we're ready to write our equation. X minus 1 squared, y minus 2 squared. There's your h, there's your k, and there's your center.